Okay, welcome everyone. This is the orientation webinar for the online statistics class. I'm going to share my desktop because that's really what this is all about, is seeing the class. So let me share my desktop. You should all see my desktop. And again, this is very different than all the other webinars. This webinar is really just about what the class is, what you're graded on, what you're going to have to do to succeed, and just the week by week stuff that you're going to be doing. But I'm not going to actually get into any statistics content today. In other webinars, that's what I'm going to do. And I want to let you know this is our first one, this orientation webinar. So the main reason I do this is so that people can have live discussions if they need. If they have quick questions, I can answer them immediately instead of with everything else that's an online class. You can send me a question, but it might be some hours before I get back to you. But here I'll be able to answer your question right away. So please, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. You can also, if you want to unmute yourself and then talk, you can do that too. And then I'll answer the question. And I don't use anyone's names because again, this is recorded. So I want to make sure that no one's like recognized or whatever, but usually it's not a problem. But just in case you're worried, that's a thought. So so welcome again. This is the Math 201 elementary statistics class. So it's an online class, and that is important. So I want to let you know, I've been teaching this class for a very, very long time. I actually have no idea anything about any of you, but my guess is before most of you were born, I've been teaching this class. So it's been about 30 years of teaching this class. There's been some changes. The main change has been technology because Zoom did not happen when I first taught statistics. But I've been teaching online for a very long time, not quite as long, but I've been teaching online for like half of that, like 15 years. So also a very, very long time. So I'm here to help you out, and I'm going to do my best. That's all I can do. So let me go through. I'm going to go through the syllabus, kind of one line at a time, and talk about what's up. This is elements of statistics and probability, elementary statistics. It's a 5-unit class, which means there's a lot of work to do. So I want to give you a big heads up that this is if you're, for example, if you happen to be at a different college, you're probably used to semester classes. This is a quarter class, so we only go 12 weeks. So everything gets shoved into a 12-week time if you're used to semesters. So it is definitely more work per week, but then it's over. In fact, let me ask you, put in the chat box, again, this won't go public. Put in the chat box where you're logging in, where you're from. Where do you live? Because I usually get most people not in Tahoe, but I usually get some. And I'm in Tahoe if you didn't know better. And let's see what we've got here. Sandy, I used to live in San Diego. So put in the chat box where you live. I used to live in LA. Look at that. So far, I've been to all the places that people have lived. Okay. Sacramento. My daughter lives there. And then South Lake Tahoe is where I live. And San Francisco, my sister lives in Daly City, which is real close. Tahoe. We got a bunch of Tahoe people. Okay. Believe it or not, last quarter, 2/3 of my class lived in China. Okay, it's different. But now so we have a group of Tahoe people. Okay. But Sonoma County, so I lived in Rohnert Park, if you've heard of that. And if you live in Sonoma County, hopefully you've heard of it because it's a big part of it. I taught at Sonoma State University. It's kind of funny. I'm looking at all the places, and I have a house in Sacramento. I have a place or have lived in every single place that you lived in. And that is a weird coincidence. It just happens to be so far, at least. That might change as I'm reading more as people come in. So I want to let you know, as an online class, you could live anywhere. Okay, as long as you have internet access. Okay, yeah, you couldn't live on Mars because there's no internet access on Mars, but all the places that you live, there's no problem. You never have to come to Tahoe, but for those who do live in Tahoe, I think you'll agree that it's a beautiful place, and if you've never been here, you should come because it is a wonderful spot. But you don't have to succeed in this class. Okay, in fact, you really never even have to leave your house, but that'd be kind of boring, but you don't have to. So this is truly an online class. Online does not mean we don't communicate because we're doing that now. We do a lot of communication, but the communication can be online. And you're welcome, especially those who live in South Lake Tahoe, to pop into my office during office hours if you want to, but you can also, talk to me on Zoom, or send me an email. So that's just a note. This is an online class, fully online. My name is Larry Green. I call myself by my first name, usually Larry. And I have been teaching, like I said, I've been teaching at Lake Tahoe Community College longer than any other of the full-time teaching faculty. So I am the most taught. I've been teaching here longer. So it's my 28th year at Lake Tahoe Community College. And I've been teaching, I've had my class was the first in California to be approved for an online statistics class for the big consortium of online classes. So I've been doing this for a very long time, which means I've had my opportunity to create all kinds of stuff so that you have materials to use. So I'm going to go through a lot of those. First thing, I tend to use my private email, my Gmail account. If you send my Greenell at ltcc.edu, then that works too, but that gets sent to my Gmail, so that's where I'll be looking at. But that's one way to communicate. If you have any questions especially where you don't want other people to hear, then that's a good way of communicating with me. I look at my email a lot, more than is healthy, just let you know. But there's also times that I don't look at my email. This should be very obvious to you. Middle of the night. Hopefully you all know why I don't look at my email in the middle of the night. Anyone know why? I don't see you chopping in. Yeah, I'm sleeping. So I will let you know I am an early to bed, early to rise person. So if you send me an email at 9:30 p.m., you won't hear from me until like 4:30 or 5 in the morning because that's my schedule. So don't expect any answers, like pretty much after 9 p.m. because I go to sleep really early, but I wake up really early. So then I'll get back to you and, I'll get back to you in the morning. If I don't get back to you within a day, I'll tell you what it means. And those of you in Tahoe know what it might mean. What do you think it means, especially those who live in Tahoe? Because it happens sometimes. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, our power goes out a lot and our internet goes down because we have huge amounts of snow sometimes. And so I apologize in advance if we happen to have a blizzard and I'm out for a day or two because that means that we have no power or internet. And then obviously I can't do anything for you. So the only times when I won't get back to you is pretty much when there's no internet and no power. And last year that happened pretty much actually. I don't know if you know, but we had like it was the most since 1952, the most snow. This year we haven't had much, but who knows? So I want to give you a heads up that there might be an occasion where I don't have internet and then I can't get back to you. But otherwise, I get back to you like really soon, typically. I'll give you my schedule. I teach from 10 o'clock a.m. until 6 o'clock p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays. I have like an hour break, which is when my office hours are, but otherwise I'm teaching. So that's another time when it might take a little bit longer, but not more than a day to get back to you because I'm teaching a lot. And we all do that. And then later in the quarter, not now, but maybe in late May or June, there'll be maybe a couple days in a row I won't get back to you. And that's because there's something I love doing, and that is backpacking. So sometimes on the weekends I might go backpacking, and then it might be a couple days. But I'll let you know ahead of time if that's going to happen. All depends on weather. So just let you know, communication with me, email works well. I have a phone number, but it's extension 341 is my extension at the college, but I'm not in my office all the time. Like I'm on my email a lot, a whole lot. So that's just to let you know in terms of my scheduling. Oh, I should mention something else that I forgot to mention, and that is that this webinar usually goes around an hour or so. The normal webinars go a little longer, like an hour and a half. And a lot has to do with how many questions there are. So if there's lots of questions, which is great, by the way, don't feel guilty, then I answer them and it might take a little longer. So that's how long to expect these webinars. Okay, this week we have two, because we have the orientation, which is just about what the class is about. And then tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we'll have a webinar on chapters 1 and 2. So tomorrow we'll actually, do statistics. Today we're just talking about the class. Okay, again, feel free to ask any questions as we go. If you want to, one thing, this Canvas web page, obviously, if you can get to this Canvas web page, then you're in Canvas. But one thing you might want to do is basically take where you are now and put it on your browser so that you can directly get in, just in case something happens at our college, then you'll be in. Canvas almost never goes down by itself. I also have obviously those who are here live, then you have the link to the live lectures and office hours. I'll be sending it out every week, but it's also on the syllabus, and that's, you click here at live lectures and office hours, then that gives you the link. And the regular link is here, but there's also international stuff in case you happen to be out of this country. Then there's a longer link. Archive webinar. So as I mentioned, this webinar is going to be posted onto YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, and right now there's no link to it, and there's a reason. Why is there no link to this quarter's archive webinars? This should be obvious. Why is there no link? Yeah, they haven't been posted because I haven't had one yet. We're in the middle of it. So obviously we haven't recorded and saved this webinar and put it on YouTube yet because I got to wait till it's over. Does that make sense? Okay, so the webinars will typically, not always, but most of the time, they'll either be Monday at 6 p.m. or Tuesday at 1 p.m. Except next week, Monday's a holiday, and I have a meeting on that Tuesday night. I mean, that Tuesday at 1, I believe. And then it is in the evening on Tuesday. So there'll be an occasional time it's different, but not much. Usually it's going to be right when it says. And mostly it's every other week, but there's holidays on Mondays, and I'm not allowed to give a webinar on a holiday, so I can't quite do it every other week. But I'll show you in a bit in the modules where you can find all the times. But they're typically this time or 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. I like to have them early because that gives you the whole week to, watch it and then use it for all the work you have to do. That's why I have them early in the week. Okay, good questions though. Very good, important questions. All right, I also have full-length YouTube lectures. So what these are lectures that I have created. These are like refined and polished. And there's 13 of them. Any guess on why there's 13 of them? No, we only have 12 weeks. There's 13 chapters in the book. Yeah, so there's 13 chapters in the book. So like this week, there's going to be 2 of them because they're kind of easier chapters. So I put those together. Whereas next week, there's only 1. The week after, there's 2. And then most of the rest of the weeks, there's just 1. I think all the rest of the weeks. Okay, so there's 13 chapters. So each one of these is one of the chapters. Okay, then, wrong one. There we go, wrong class. Also, just in case you want longer lectures that are webinars during COVID, everything was online, including my face-to-face classes, because I think you all know that we weren't able to like teach in person at all. So in case you want longer lectures, these are longer lectures, no requirement to watch them, but just in case you want to see longer stuff, you can see it. And that's these lectures from the Eve class. I just put those in. I also have short introductory lectures for each week. And those are just like a couple minutes on kind of talking about what the week's gonna do, but nothing else in that. There's videos of worked out problems. And those are, instead of these long, like hour-long lectures, these are like 4 minutes of how to do a specific type of statistics problem. Most of the time, I mean, you can click on this and you'll go to the, the longer YouTube thing. But most of the time when you're working out problems from the homework, you'll watch the video on these guys if you're stuck on something. And that will help you. I also have created interactive statistics. One of the things about me is I am a computer coder. I've been programming computers for a very long time. So I have made statistics interactive activities. A lot of them, 55 of them. that
I really like them.
You play with them? Great, great. And they're interactive, so it's not just reading a book. So some are actually, let me find one that isn't the calculator. Here's a box plot creation game. Again, we haven't learned this stuff yet, so you may not understand it. But this is a game that will guide you through the process of drawing a box plot. So you're going to have to do all this stuff by moving your mouse and stuff like that. I'm not going to do this because we haven't learned the stats yet, so you might not understand it if I did it. But when you get to it, you can do this stuff if you want. And there's a lot of these, okay? As again, there's, over 50 of them. So that's the good news, so they're there. Okay, and then there's the textbook. I just want to let you know something about me. I kind of have a mission in life the last many, many years, and that is to make sure that no student drops a class because they can't afford to pay for the materials in the class. Okay, so how much do you think this textbook costs to log in and watch and see it? Yeah, it's free. So I want to let you know that there is nothing in this class that costs money. Okay. Some of you might have had to pay to register for the class. If you're not in our Promise program, then there's a small amount of money just to be a student. But other than that, everything is free. And if you're in Tahoe, okay, or if you can get to Tahoe, even your computer is free. Do you know about that? Especially those of you who are in Tahoe. So you can just go to the college and walk over to the library and say, can I check out a computer for the entire quarter? And they'll say, sure, and they'll hand you a computer. And that's free. Isn't that nice? So even that's free. You do have to give it back at the end of the quarter. You can't just keep it forever. But by the end of the quarter, you can do that. So even if you didn't have a computer, then that's even free. So there's nothing in this class that costs money. And I make sure of that. And I want to let you know that have you taken any of you taken any other classes in this at this college where you didn't have to pay for the book because it was free? Because I see some people from Tahoe. Yeah, so I want to let you know that it's not just this class that's my mission. It's everything. So I have made it so that more than 50% of all classes at our college have no cost for anything that they have to do, like textbooks or online whatevers. So that's me. And so far, no one's complained about that. And if you take a math class, let's say you're taking a class at Santa Rosa Community College, Santa Rosa JC, sorry, junior college, and they're using free stuff, That's me too. I'm actually the state, I'm the statewide lead for this free textbook initiative in math. Not only that, I'm actually the international lead for all countries. That's been my mission. So again, if you don't like it, it's my fault. So I've been doing that pretty much for a very, very long time, and I'm the international chair now for the online free initiative. So that's what I do. So everything is free. You don't have to pay for anything in this class. Other than, if you're not in Tahoe, you may have to pay for your internet access in your home. That's life, but that's about it. Okay. So that's the good news. If you go to this book, it's not a regular book. Because I use what's called OER, which is Open Educational Resources, there are no copyright measures that I have to abide by for the textbook that I adopted. Barbara Olowski and Susan Dean, and Barbara Olowski and I we've been colleagues and known each other for a long time, actually. She's great. Susan Dean, I don't know so well. I've met her once. They wrote the book, but I decided to make it more than just a textbook. So if we go, I'll just grab a section. And if you go to, let's say, confidence intervals, again, I don't expect you to understand the statistics yet, but eventually you will. And I don't know, how about this one, 8.3. So it's all free. Here's the book. And you can scroll down. This is all written by Barbara Olowski until within this section, there is an interactive activity that I've embedded into the book. So you can actually visualize what's talked about by moving a slider. And you can actually see it go. Again, I don't expect you to understand exactly what it's doing because we haven't had this chapter yet, but you can see it happening. Then if you scroll more, this is one of the YouTube examples that I created, which this is a video on a confidence interval for a mean. So I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but this is a 2 minute and 30-second video on a problem that's similar to what happened in the book. And here's another video. Then you scroll more. Here's a calculator that's embedded right into the section you need it for. So I put all this stuff, and here's another calculator, by the way, within the textbook. So it's a fully interactive textbook instead of your typical textbook where it's just boring reading. Okay. And hopefully you'll, use it and work with it. Any questions on the textbook? Okay. And if you find any errors, let me know and I can fix them. I wrote them. I'm a coder, so I've been doing this forever and ever. Okay. The course description, I'm not going to read all of it because you don't understand most of it, but you will eventually, hopefully. But basically, we're going to be doing statistics. And one of the things I love about teaching this class and about this class, I never have to kind of answer the question is, what's the point of all this? I'm never going to use this. And then I have to explain. It is obvious how useful this class is. So maybe you can post in the chat box. And again, I don't mention your names. No one sees the chat box, but I say a major. What's your major or career goal? And/or career goal? I mean, you can put that in. I'll tell you whether you'll need statistics. And the answer is going to be yes. But I'll explain maybe about how. Actually don't know what LCSW is, sorry. Okay, so finance. So I'm just going to go through some of these. Okay, so finance is used a lot because if you have statistics, it helps make good planning, financial planning, because then you can get a good idea of how much is being spent and where, and get averages and maybe predict what's going to happen next year by looking at data. And that's how statistics is in finance. Firefighting. This is one of my favorite examples. And I didn't look, but if you're in Tahoe, then you know what happened, the disaster that happened about 27 months ago. which was called the Caldor Fire. And how many houses in South Lake Tahoe burnt down, or in Myers, because of our Caldor Fire? Anyone know? I'm asking this for a reason, by the way. Okay, the answer is 0. Okay, we had this huge, gigantic fire and no houses burnt down. One of the reasons, okay, there are a lot of reasons. There were great firefighters, by the way, but a little more than 10 years ago, the Forest Service and Fire Department actually hired me to do statistics on helping them with best practice of forest thinning so that the firefighters can protect the houses. And that was an example where statistics made a huge difference. And I'm not saying that I was the only person that, prevented houses from burning down, but I was one of the players. I was a mathematician, statistician player in this whole firefighter thing that really made a big difference. And we didn't have any houses burnt down. I'm not saying it's just because of me, but it was a piece of it. Kinesiology. Stats is important because you want to find out what's the best practice for exercise when somebody might have some health issues and they got to exercise to make it better, or maybe just to keep from getting injured or working out and, making that all happen. You want to look at data. If you don't look at data, you're just guessing. And you look at the data and then you decide from that. Psychology and child psychology, because kids psychology, definitely children, because you want to find out why our children might be having some mental issues, for example. And you're going to look at data about that and then do summaries based on the statistics of that. And that's a big deal. Okay, business and finance, I kind of talked about that. That's similar. If you don't do statistics to predict how you're going to do, you're probably not going to make it in your business. Just let you know, it's a big, big deal. And I will let you know, I was part of some big statistic stuff. Some I don't think I can talk to you about because it's classified, but where complete disasters kind of happened and statistically it was found out who was responsible. And I was part of that. And it was business stuff. I can't get into details because there's FBI stuff involved. So, but I can say that at least. Social worker. And again, you want to be able to, if you're a clinical social worker, you want to be able to provide advice that is going to help this person out. And you're going to find out what their background and issues are. And then you're going to look at data that you've previously looked at and statistically to find out what's the best way of helping this person. So very important. Stats, pretty much anything you say, I'm going to say stats is important because it is. That's what's great about it. And you'll see that. We're going to have a lot of great examples in this class that will help you out. Again, today is not the day I'm going to get into the stats, but I'm going to hopefully convince you that it is useful. Okay. I'll let you read through the learning outcomes. I'm not going to read every word of the syllabus. The syllabus is online. You can read it. I graded on a 90, 80, 70, 60 scale. I try and keep it standard. In terms of the grading, 10%, I call them assignments. A lot of people call them homework, but this is an online class, so everything is homework. You could do the whole class at home. So homework was confusing. So I just call them assignments. Basically, it's a bunch of problems per chapter. Okay, there's going to be a discussion board assignments that you're going to have to do, and I'm going to show you those in a little bit. Let me ask you something you can put in the chat box, either yes or no. Yes, if you have taken an online class before, or no, if this is your first online class, you've never taken an online class. Okay, so at least the people here, I'm hearing yes for everyone. Okay, so you're used to this. I'm pretty sure that when you took an online class, it involved discussion posts. I am actually I've been one of the, it used to be the statewide evaluator of online classes. Now they do it by college, but they used to do it by state. And I was one of the evaluators. I looked at like a whole bunch of classes. They all use discussion posts, and you're gonna have to do it too. So that's just part of it. And that's going to be, everything is in Canvas, by the way. So pretty much some things get taken from, from somewhere else and get put into Canvas, but basically everything's from your Canvas shell. And by the way, if you don't like Canvas, it's partly my fault because I was on the committee for California to choose Canvas for the operating system for California, for the learning management system. There were 50 of us, but and it was a vast majority of us like Canvas best. So hopefully you'll get used to it, and it's usually not a problem. It's pretty easy to use. And those who've had online classes, you probably all use Canvas again all over the state. That was because of our decision that we made. Okay, there are exams. I do this differently than I used to, and by most classes do. I don't have a midterm and a final. I don't do that. Because what I found out when I did that, I had to make sure it was proctored, and I'm not even allowed to have proctored exams anymore, and it just is a mess. So now what there are is basically every other week, and I'm going to tell you even weeks. By the way, is this an even week? What week are we in? Yeah, we're in week 1. This is not an even week. And so that means there's no exam this week. Next week is week 2. 2 is an even number, so you'll have an exam. So I will let you know that every even week there'll be an exam. And the exams will cover, usually the first exam is just going to cover the first 2 weeks. But then when you get later on, like in your week 8 or something, then 50% will be week 1 through 6, and the other 50% will be week 7 and 8. So it is focused more on the prior to in the most recent 2 weeks. But you won't notice that in the first exam because we only have 2 weeks in the first exam. The exams typically are going to have like somewhere between 15 and 18 regular questions that get randomly put from the homework problems that are also randomly grabbed. Okay. And then a couple questions that are open-ended questions where you have to write full sentences and I grade them. The others graded by the computer, but the last few I grade. And the last few are weighted more heavily than the first bunch. So just let you know that's how it works. So when you're practicing, you should spend a lot of time re-looking at your assignments because that's where the exam problems are, most of the exam problems are coming from, but also the discussion posts and my examples that I do in webinars, because those last ones are more like the discussion posts or the webinar examples. Any questions about the exams? And they're all 10%. They're equally weighted. So the final exam isn't any heavier weighted than the first exam. Just let you know that. Okay. All right. There are 2 projects. And today's not the day I'm going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the projects because we haven't had the statistics yet to really understand them. But I will tell you that you're going to be working together, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The first one's due February 11th. The second is due March 24th. Okay. And by the way, these deadlines are not flexible. Okay, you can do it earlier, but you cannot turn it in after February 11th. Okay, it's an absolute. So I don't recommend turning it in February 11th. I recommend turning in February 10th. And that way, if something goes, if your internet dies on the 10th, then you still have another day to make it happen. Okay. All right. So the exams, by the way, unlike the assignments, you have as much time as you want to use, but the exams, you have exactly 90 minutes at most to take the exam. Once you start, the clock starts. 90 minutes later, it closes, period. So they are, full exams, okay? Any questions on that? Okay. The assignments are always, just about all of them are due on Sunday. Okay. And if you need extra time, you better know by Friday that you're going to need extra time, because the idea is you should be working on this, not Sunday. You should be working on this all week. And if you don't ask by Friday for extra time, I will never give you extra time. If you ask by Friday, I will give you extra time. Not like a month of extra time, but usually a day or 2 extra. But you have to send me an email saying I want extra time And, it's maybe Thursday that you're sending it, and I'll say, sure, I'll give you an extra couple days. So that's how I'm going to do it. So I see this, I didn't see when, how many questions are there per exam in general? So again, there's usually like 15 or 16 of the computer graded, and then there's usually 2 that I grade. Those 2 have lots of parts, so that's how many. And I do want to give you a kind of heads up. I might remind you again. Unfortunately, when you finish the exam, the computer will mark a 0 on the ones I'm grading, and it'll make it look like you're not doing as well as you really are. And then within a couple days, I grade the exam, and then you get those points for those last couple problems, and your grade will go up. Okay, does that make sense? And that's just a Canvas thing. I can't change that. So your grade will look worse when you submit it at the very beginning, and then those last problems will get graded. I'll grade them, and then I give you full comments in Canvas, and then I give you points on those problems. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Will the assignments be open, pass, or yes, the assignments are all open, pass, or due date for practice. But if you practice the assignments, your grade doesn't change, because even if you practice and kept getting them all right, your grade once the due date happens, the grade is fixed. But they're always open for practice afterwards. Okay. And I'll show you in a little bit, I'll show you what they look like. Right now, we're just doing syllabus. Okay, there are discussion posts that are due, and now I'll get into a little more. There's a little confusing because it's the way Canvas works is that I only get to post one due date for the discussion post. There's a due date for that discussion assignment. That due date is Sunday. But by Thursday, you have to put your initial post. Sunday is the date at which it has to be finished, as in you have answered your classmates' post. And then that's the final piece. So there's 2 pieces. The first piece is due on Thursday. The second piece is due on Sunday. And I always send a reminder on Thursday morning at 8 in the morning that, hey, don't forget to do your initial post on the discussion. So that's how the discussion works. Okay. A lot of them, you're going to have to post a news article or a journal article or course video. Okay. And that should not be about stats. It should be about something that uses stats. Does that make sense? So it might be about, I don't know, the snow in Tahoe. And then they've done the statistics that we're learning, and they use that to talk about snow in Tahoe. And then you're going to post that article. Do you see that? One thing I recommend doing is on a piece of pencil and paper is see if you can do what's asked for the reply to the post to make sure that it's doable. The other thing, and this is something I do as a benefit to those who are not procrastinators. The initial post is due on Thursday, but if you post it by Wednesday, I will look at it. And if there are issues where I would take off points because there's issues, I will reply to your post with the issues to either fix, or sometimes you're going to repost something else because it's a terrible issue. And that way you can not get so many points taken off. So I give you extra special bonus by doing it early. And also if it's early, other people have a chance to answer it early. Any questions on that idea? Okay. We have live webinars. So this is the first one. And you must either attend live and pay attention or watch it on video. And you have to do that by Sunday of each week. There will be, and I haven't given it to you yet, but I will. There will be a secret word that I'll be giving you during the webinar. I'll make it very loud and you'll know it when you're listening, whether you're watching it on YouTube or watching it now, watching it, in live, but there will be a secret word that happens. And in that secret word, you write it down. And then each week there'll be a secret word quiz where you're asked one question, what was a secret word? And you put the secret word in, and then you get credit. Got it? Does by Wednesday include Wednesday itself? No, Wednesday mean Wednesday at midnight. So 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday. How's that? So anytime on Wednesday is what it means. Yeah. So basically a day early. Okay. So there'll be a secret word, and by Sunday, you do the secret word quiz, you get it right, and you're done. That's it. You don't have to worry about it. If you didn't watch it by Sunday and didn't write down the secret word, then there's a second chance. And the second chance is that you can watch it later, take detailed notes. Has to be at least 5 pages of notes. Okay, so again, you probably don't want to do that, but hey, at least you don't lose the points. And then you email me your notes, and then I'll give you the credit if it's done before the end of the course, basically. If you don't do it, I take off 5% from your course grade per missed one. So it's horrible. Don't even think about not doing it. It's a disaster penalty. Okay, so just let you know. All webinars will be on the same link that we're in now. So if you're live, it'll be this, Zoom link that we've got. And fortunately, I haven't ever had to change it. That's good. I was the first person, one of the first people in California to use Zoom, actually, it turns out. And I used something else before Zoom. I've been doing webinars longer than anyone, actually, when it comes to classes. I was one of the first. I like to do new stuff in technology. Okay. The projects I mentioned, but I want to mention something very important that you can start now without knowing any statistics. And that is the projects are team projects. Each team is a team of 2 or 3 students. I recommend 3 for 2 reasons. One is that if you only have 2, how much of the project do you have to do? What percent? If there's 2 of you in the project. 50%. If there's 3 of you, what percent do you have to do? 33 and a third percent. What's easier? Easier to do 33 and a third percent. You have less work to do. So that's one reason. But here's another reason to do 3 instead of 2. And the other reason to do 3 instead of 2 is if one of your partners drops out, then you're still okay. You still have a partner left. And people do drop out, not because I force them, but it happens sometimes. Life happens or whatever. So it's easier to have 3. You can choose anybody in the class to be your partners. Okay, it's totally up to you. I do not tell you who to partner with. Okay, so just let you know, is a severe penalty if you turn it in by yourself. There's a 25% deduction. So basically, don't do that. The highest score you could even get is a C. And most people get Fs because you get a C if you would have gotten a high A. You see that? And high A's are hard to get, especially if you're by yourself. So don't even think about going by yourself. Okay. Just let you know on timeline, I showed you the dates when the projects are due, but if you can send me by Thursday, even better is a little earlier than that, 8 a.m. before it's due, I'll read your draft and give you full feedback or a lot of feedback about how you can make it better. I want you to do well, but you have to help me help you do well. Does that make sense? But I also read them on a first sent, first read basis. So if a whole bunch of people send it, at 7:58 in the morning on Thursday, then, and you were the last one, I may not be able to get feedback for a while because, these projects are like sometimes, they're usually over 10 pages long. And I type in a lot of feedback. It takes a lot of work for me to do that. So by the time I get through everyone, it takes a long time. On the other hand, if you send it, say, Tuesday before instead of Thursday before, then you're going to be one of the earlier ones, and then I'll give you earlier feedback. And that's even better. Any questions on that? Okay. I also review it. I also review the your project only once as a draft. So don't send it to me a second time as a draft. You do it a second time for the final submission into Canvas. But the tutor can do that. We have an embedded tutor. I don't know if he's here or not. Let's see. Are you here, Kyle? Maybe not. Okay. We have an embedded tutor who's going to come and actually watch these webinars. He's been my embedded tutor for a while, and he took my class, so he's done all this stuff, and you can send it to him also. Okay. And you'll meet him probably maybe in the next webinar. Okay. I have a Q&A form. So in terms of communicating with me, there's different ways of communicating. If it is personal, email me. Okay. Or if you're in Tahoe, you can come to my office too, but you can call me on the phone, but email's the quickest response. If it's not personal and it's a question that's not about the project, use a Q&A form, and that way other people can benefit from the conversation we're having. If it's a question on how to do something in statistics, that way everyone can see that and they can get the questions answered too, and they may have the same question. And there's a Q&A forum, and I'll show you these forums in a little bit. That makes sense. Okay. And I get back to you pretty quick. Okay, I look at it a lot. Diversity inclusion, very important that you treat everyone with respect, regardless of whatever their background is. We're all adults. Treat people honorably and nice to each other. That's all I ask. That's the main thing. Okay. If you have some feedback that you want to give me, but not say who you are, there is an anonymous feedback loop link. But again, I'm never going to get mad at you for giving me suggestions to improve the class. So you can also just drop me an email, it's fine too. But if you don't want to tell me for some reason, you can anonymously tell me. I have some guidelines on how to be nice to each other that I didn't write, someone else did, but they were good, so I put them there. So I'll let you look at those if you want. Okay, so I have office hours 5 days a week. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday from 2:30 to 3:30. Tuesday, Thursday from 3 to 4. Friday from 10:30 to 11:30. And I'm always on Zoom during those hours. I do want to let you know, though, one thing, if you do log into my office hours, first thing, say something so I hear you, because often I'll be grading and not looking at the screen, because I don't sit there and stare at a blank screen for an hour if no one's showing up. So say something so I hear you. That's important. If I don't get back to you within 10 seconds, it might be that I'm running into, we have a tutoring program for children, and I'm in charge of it kind of. We have a math club and I'm the advisor for the math club, and I go and just check in once or twice for a minute or two, but then I'll be back. And because it's during my office hours, Monday through Thursday. So just let you know, there's a chance that I'll be, not able to answer immediately, but within a minute or two, I'll be able to answer. And that will always happen. The only time, again, I will not be on, and I told you this at the beginning, is if we have a blizzard and we have no internet, then I'm not on Zoom because we have no internet. So that could happen. Okay. We're expecting a storm, I think Wednesday. So hopefully we still have internet Wednesday, but we'll see. So I apologize again. If you're not from Tahoe, then trust me that Tahoe is different than LA, for example. We have big storms. We lose internet. Okay. So just a note, those are my office hours. Calculators. So to note, again, I told you that you never have to buy anything for this class. So one of the things I did is I created a calculator. Okay, I actually created two. one for the assignments. And this is what it's on LibreText. By the way, the sweatshirt I'm wearing is a LibreText sweatshirt. Kind of a sweatshirt just for this, not for the calculator, but for this LibreText platform. And this is the calculator that has, there are 25 list items, and they go in order of the order at which we do things. Okay, so the question is, will there be extensions provided for outages? So remember that you should be working on this stuff during the week and not wait till Sunday. So that's why I don't give extensions if you don't ask in advance. So again, you really should have it mostly done by Friday. And then if you have a little bit to do on the weekend, you do the rest on the weekend. And then if it didn't happen, at least you've got most of it done. Does that make sense? So no, extensions are only by, and I always give by extensions by Friday. Okay. So this calculator, for example, here's random number generator. This is the first one. It's a nice, easy one. You don't know anything. So this will find a random number, in quotes, between two numbers. All right, put in the chat box what you want the low and high to be. What's the low that you want it? From something to something. Okay, 13 to 99. There we go. Just got a random number. 16. Get another one, get another one, get another one. So this is an example of the calculator. And you can go back to the calculator menu. Okay, this is the easiest one, by the way. By the way, if you think you can give me a random number out of your off your top of your head, you're wrong. It means you need to take a psychology class because actually humans don't have the ability to create random numbers in our heads. Computers do. So this is done by computer. That's just a note. Okay, so that's the calculator. There's also a calculator. This calculator. Okay. If you use a die, that works. How'd you get 10 if you use a die? You use a big die with lots of sides, I guess. So this calculator is different. This is really for the projects. And I'll talk about this when I talk more about the projects next week, I believe, is when I talk about it. Okay. 10-sided die. That's interesting because dice shouldn't be 10. I won't do the math, but there are no perfectly 10-sided die that are perfect. But that's a whole different thing. Not a statistics thing. So this is a calculator, and I'll show you how to use this another time. And you have to use this for the project, mainly because there are some universities that require a spreadsheet in a class, or they don't accept it for transfer. So I make you do this so that when the university calls me up, I say, yep, we used it. And they say, great. And they mark it, and they say, yep, it transfers. Okay. If you have a learning disability, then if you contact the student accessibility services, this will go to their website. This will email them. You can also call them, and they will help you out. They'll find out what the needs are. They'll let me know, and then I'll make sure it happens. Okay. Mostly it's extra time on exams, but again, if you don't go through them, I can't give it to you. Okay, there is tutoring, and there's tutoring that happens. There's actually 6 days a week that it happens face-to-face live, but there's also tutoring on what's called Cranium Cafe, which is online tutoring. And you can get help a lot of hours. There's a lot of times you can get help with that. So I'll let you click on those and you can get help in statistics. And tutoring is free. Free is always good. And we also, again, we have our embedded tutor, and that's Kyle, and he's the main person. There's some links on getting help with Canvas. Most people don't need these because Canvas is pretty easy. Word on honestly, don't cheat. When you're doing your test, don't use other people to do your test. Don't use artificial intelligence. You should be doing it by yourself. And I can usually tell when I'm evil on grading when I can tell that you're cheating. So don't do that. I'm quietly evil though. But if you're not cheating, there's no problem. Any questions at all so far? Okay, I want to show you a few things that are important. One, oh, I have to log in. Look at that. So one is the discussion boards. As soon as it lets me log in, it's slow. By the way, this is like one of the slowest logins you'll ever see. Oh, good, good. I'm logged in. I wonder why it said log in. That's weird. Now it's gonna let me in. For some reason it did that. Okay. So if you go to this discussion button, this will take you to the key discussion posts that happen in our class. One is a Q&A forum, which I told you about. That's where you ask general questions. There's one question already. Another is a project discussion forum. That's where you discuss about the project, project one. This is project one. So how do you find partners? Here's the easiest way. You go to the project discussion forum, you hit reply, you say, I'm looking for I'm looking for project partners for project one. If you want to say something about yourself, you can, but you don't have to. Please join me. Now, I'm not looking for a partner because I don't do the projects. You do. I grade them. But you hit post reply. I'm not going to do that. You hit post reply, and then that'll happen. And then you can, if you're not the first person to do that, then you can reply to someone else who said that and say, hey, can I be your partner? And you can share information and you can be partners together. Does that make sense? That's the easiest way of getting partners, is this project discussion forum. And I recommend doing it like within the next 24 hours. You don't have to know any stats to find partners. If you want to work for some reason in person, to say where you are, but again, there's no requirement of being in person. But you do need to be able to communicate with each other online. Any questions on the project discussion forum? Okay, then the main thing, and next week, the modules will be the home screen. Right now I have the syllabus for the first week, but that changes to the modules. And these are the modules. If you go to course information, it gives you all the stuff I showed you on the syllabus. If you go to week 1, this is the stuff that you're going to have to do this week. So the first thing here is survey design, sampling charts, and statistics. If I click on that, this is that little intro video. It's short. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I'll just show you. It's 3 minutes. Okay, I made this a long time ago, actually. So if you've been to our college, you won't recognize it because it looks different. But that's okay. Stats hasn't changed very much. I can hit the next button. Here's the webinar that's happening right now. Okay. Oh, you know what? I better do this now because you can't watch it yet. Forgot to erase that. I thought I did that. You won't be able to edit. That was my mistake. There we go. And this shows you how to get on. But then once it's recorded and it's on YouTube, I'll post it right here after the word here, and it'll be there. Okay. It's not ready yet because we're not done. Any questions on that? Okay. And every week it'll be like that. And it'll always say the date and the time. So then if I go next, I thought I got rid of them, but maybe not. Sorry about that. I'm going to remove at least these links so you don't accidentally do that. I'll remove the rest tomorrow. Okay. Then again, tomorrow, we're going to have one at 1:00 p.m. And if you can make it, that's great. If you can't, then you can watch on YouTube. But when you watch on YouTube, you can't ask immediate questions and get answers because you're watching YouTube, not me, not me live. That's the big difference. By the way, you can always go back to the modules. And you'll see I have, those are those big things. I also have content, learning outcomes. I have the links directly to the book of the chapters we're doing, the chapter videos that we're doing, the short videos. I have to have PowerPoints from the videos that I made. So all kinds of stuff. But then the assignments. So first, the orientation secret word quiz. Oh, you know what? Let me do this first. I have to look at it as a student. Student view, there we go. I look at it differently than you do. That's better. So now if I go back to the modules, now it should let me do it. As an instructor, it looks different for me. So now it won't look different. If I go to the orientation webinar, not that one, sorry. One more try. Orientation secret word quiz. Okay, I hit begin. And there's 1 question. The secret word for the orientation of the webinar was, here it is. Applicable or applicable. Okay, I want to let you know, write that down right now. This is the secret word for this week. I'm giving it to you right now. Spell it correctly because it won't accept it if you spell it wrong. 2 P's in applicable. Okay, and that is a secret word. And then you hit submit, and it'll say right. If you type that word in, it'll say wrong if you type it wrong. Any questions on the secret word? Did you all write it down? I'm about to leave it. Any questions? So write this down because that's the secret word for the orientation. Applicable. Because statistics is applicable to so many different fields. So I try and use a secret word on something you wouldn't guess, but is kind of important for what we're talking about. So that was a secret word. Let me leave student view. And there we go. I'll leave my instructor thing. Huh? There. And there. Okay. There is also, tomorrow's webinar is going to have a secret word also. So there's a secret word for quiz for week 1, and that will also be a secret word. It's not today's secret word. It'll be a different one. I'm not telling you what it is till tomorrow. Just let you know. Then there are discussion post assignments. And I want to let you know I always post, usually on Saturday or Sunday before the week, I always post an example so you get to see what these are supposed to look like. So here's mine. So let me read the question. Please introduce yourself by stating 2 truthful facts about yourself and 1 thing that's not truthful. Okay, not necessarily in that order, by the way. Then you're going to see if other students can guess which is truthful and what is not truthful. Then respond to at least 1 student's list to see if you can figure out which are truthful and which are not truthful. Okay, and by the way, this is the one assignment where it's at least, I recommend, hey, guessing everybody's, because it makes everyone happy and it's kind of fun when you get to know each other. Finally, after someone has responded to your list, comment on whether that student was correct, and then write about how you plan on using statistics in your future coursework or career. Okay? So I posted, here are my 3 truthsome questions, in quotes. See if you can guess which one is not truthful. So number 1, I personally disconnected the communication system for the space shuttle while it was in orbit, causing it to stay in orbit an extra day. 2, once I stepped out my front door in Tahoe and took a walk to Yosemite. And the 3rd, my YouTube channel has had almost 1 million views. I will tell you 2 of those are truthful, 1 is not. And then you have to guess if it was truthful or not. And I usually wait until like Saturday or Sunday before I actually respond, because I'm going to let everyone guess. So someone guessed 2. They don't think I walked from my front door in Tahoe and took a walk to Yosemite. I'm not going to tell until what I did and what I didn't until this weekend. And then other people have done it too. One thing I do recommend is when you hit reply and you post it, I'm just going to like pretend I posted something. And you hit post reply, then go back and look and make sure it actually posted. Especially in others where there's some math stuff you have to put in. Sometimes the posting, especially if you end up copying and pasting, which you should be careful about doing. Sometimes copying and pasting doesn't work and it messes everything up and it won't work. So always check what you posted to make sure it actually posted, because you can see all the posts that happened. Does that make sense? Okay, so that was this week is the one week that has 2 to do. It's the only week that has 2 because 1 is just fun. That's just fun. You should all get 100% on that. And the other is not. Okay, and then what we do is we go ahead and there's a second one, and this one is going to be much harder because there's stats involved. For this discussion, please first find an article online or a course video that discusses a study that was done that uses one of the sampling techniques that we have discussed in this class, which I'll discuss it tomorrow. You're going to want to search online for a journal article, news article, or course video. I had a sabbatical and I found videos, but also journal articles are great too. And I'll let you read all this stuff. I always post an example. Just a note, if you're going to do a link, I just want to show you something. So I'll just make up a link. How about CNN? And I'm going to copy that one. This is not one you're going to post, but I just want to show you what there's something that's important. After you copy and paste the link, hit the space bar once. And that will make it a link so other students can just click it instead of having to copy and paste into URL. It's a lot easier. And it's so easy to hit the space bar. And you'll notice it made a link out of it. Any questions? So there's a question, can you use calculators like the TI-86 or 84 plus? That's much harder. Okay, I made this calculator for this class. One of the big comments I get when I get evaluated or whatever is how they love my calculator. Just a warning. The 84 doesn't do all the things we have to do. It doesn't do it well. It doesn't show everything. I actually spent about a third of my vacation over break putting in visualizations on the calculator that I made. So strongly recommend do not use the 80s, the TIs. Okay, everyone likes the calculator that I made. And by the way, you're not allowed to use the TIs for the projects. That's against the rules completely. Okay, so that's just a note. Everything I show you in class will be using our the calculator I made, and you'll agree. Everyone likes it. Okay. Doesn't look like orientation secret word quiz is posted. Really? When I did student view, it let me in. Okay, yeah, so if it's not working, okay, so if someone took theirs and it worked, then it's working. So it might be something with your internet or something. If one person is able to do it, everyone can do it. That's how it works. And I did student view and it works, so it should work. So that I'm not sure. Maybe try it again. You have till Sunday. Yeah, it should work. And one person took it, and I'm guessing you took it and it said right, and it was good. Easy if you know how to do it. You just click on it. So it should be posted. Okay. So let me show you, not too much, we're almost done. I know it's a little longer than the hour. Sometimes it is because there are a lot of questions and sometimes things take longer. If you go to this chapter 1 sampling and data, I'm going to do a preview. There we go. Then this is what the weekly assignments look like. So let me do an example. Identify the type of data that would be used to describe a response. Amount of body fat. So let's suppose, again, you're not supposed to know this stuff yet because you haven't read chapter 1 yet, but let's suppose that you thought it was qualitative. And I hit submit question, and I got it wrong. By the way, red is bad. It means I got it wrong. You'll notice up here it says get a similar question. This is set up so basically you can keep trying problems over and over again until you figure it out. So if I do get a similar question, now it's going to be similar, but not the same question. Now it's the data you collected is standardized IQ score. So let's suppose I hit quantitative continuous and I hit submit. That wasn't right either. So I can get a similar question again. Notice you can keep going and you get more. Identify the type of data that would be used again. Now it's a person ethnicity. Now let's say I put qualitative, categorical. Now I got it right. So even though I got it wrong twice and right once, for that question, I got 100%. So I strongly recommend you get 100%. Okay, or at least real close to it, so that you can get them all right. If you get it wrong a few times and you just don't understand it, what should you do? Any thoughts? What should you do if you don't understand why you're getting it wrong, you don't understand the concept? What should you do? Yeah, ask for help. You can post questions on the Q&A forum. You can go get a tutor. Tutors are free. Just log on and ask a tutor. You can log into my office hours and get help that way too. But we're here for you. You can reread the material too. But don't just ignore it. If there's anything you don't understand, get help. Okay? By the way, don't just say I didn't understand question number 1 because it's random and I won't know what your question number 1 was, because it might be different. Okay. Okay. The quiz is not posted through grading link, but you can access it through the modules. That's really weird. Okay, go through the modules and access. I'll look at the grading link and see what that's up to, but I don't know why. So use the modules. That's the answer to that. That's weird. Never had that happen before. So I have no idea. PC to laptop. Okay. Yeah. One of the things that could happen sometimes is your computer could block cookies, for example, and that can sometimes stop things from working. That's one guess. When things don't work. That's a typical thing. Especially if you happen to have a Mac, Macs tend to be blocked. You can take your Mac and you can change the settings to not block the cookies, and that doesn't. But you have to do that with setting changes. So that's my best guess. It's hard to know because I'm not sitting in your room and watching your computer, but that's one thing that I've seen go wrong for individual students. Okay, any questions on this, by the way? And then you get it next question. I'm not going to do all the questions, but you get the idea, hopefully. If I go back to the modules, you'll see there's also a chapter 2, and you'll have to do chapter 2 this week also. Week 1 does have a little more work than some other weeks, but there's also no exams, and you're not working on a project, so there's more of that kind of work, but there's less of the intense, like high stakes work, where there's projects and exams and stuff. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Week 2 will have more stuff. So that's pretty much everything that is about the class that's absolutely necessary. But I want to let you know I'm here to help out. So if you have more questions or there's something you didn't understand, I can help you and work with you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. I do this for a reason. In a second, a minute.